Greetings, this is the Carl and Kelly Experience, with an Elder Scrolls history. We start off with the Elder Scrolls Chapter 1, Arena. The traitorous battle mage Jagger Tharn has trapped the Emperor Uriel Septim VII in the Realm of Oblivion, which we will see in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and is impersonating his presence on the throne. Arena tasks the player finding and assembling 8 pieces of the Staff of Chaos, a powerful artifact whose pieces have been scattered throughout Tamriel, one in each province. Only when the staff is complete can the player confront Tharn himself in a dungeon beneath the Imperial City and free the Emperor. Now this game has a lot of the same stuff that all the other Elder Scrolls do. Start off in a dungeon, explore the wide open world. It's a very great start to a very great franchise. The next game in the franchise is named Daggerfall. Daggerfall is a city in Breton, homeland of High Rock. The player is sent here at personal request of the Emperor. He wants the player to first do 2 things. First, the player must free the ghost of the late King Lysandus from his earthly shackles. Second, the player must discover what happened to a letter from the Emperor to a Blade spy in the court of Daggerfall. The letter reveals that Lysandus' mother, Nulfaga, knows the location of the Mantella, the key to resurrecting the first Numidium, a powerful iron golem. The Emperor wants a spy to force Nulfaga into revealing the location of the Mantella so that the Blades can finish the reconstruction of the Numidium. Through a series of mishaps, confusions, and a letter fell into the hands of an orc by the name of Gortwog. Not knowing what the Mantella is, Gortwog consults Manimarco, the King of Worms, the leader of the Necromancers. During this time, the Underking, who originally destroyed the first Numidium because of its misuse by Tiber Septim, is recuperating deep within a tomb of High Rock after expending so much energy the first time. In order for the player to give the Mantella to anyone, the player must kill King Lysandus' murderer and put the ghost to rest. After accomplishing this, stealing the totem of Tiber Septim from King Gorthid of Daggerfall, and freeing the Mantella from its prison in Aetherius. Following this, the player has 6 choices on how to deal with the Mantella. After Daggerfall, we have Battlespire. In Battlespire, named so after the training facility for battle mages, the player takes the role of an apprentice who, on the day of his final test, discovers that an army of Daedra, led by Marunes Dagon, has invaded and killed nearly everybody. On top of that, his partner is being held captive by Marunes Dagon himself. Over the course of 7 levels, you must travel through various realms of Oblivion to reach Marunes Dagon, defeat him, and escape back to Tamriel. Following Battlespire, a year later we got Redguard. It's an action-adventure game developed in the third-person style. Gameplay takes place in Tamriel in the year of 864 of the Second Era, some 400 years prior to the events of Arena and the rest of the series. The story is about Cyrus, a young Redguard who arrives on the island of Stros Makai in order to find his missing sister, Izara, and subsequently finds himself in the middle of a political intrigue. And now we see the 3rd chapter in the franchise, Morrowind. The game starts with the protagonist in prison, a staple of the Elder Scrolls games. The player is released from a prison boat into a small fishing village called Seyda-Neen. In the census office, the released prisoner is given a package by an Imperial officer to be delivered to a man named Caius Cosatus, who is currently residing in the town of Balmora. Thus begins the game and the story in earnest. The player at this point is given freedom to visit any location, complete any side quest without harming or disrupting the main quest line. If you so wish, the player continues onward to a new life and Balmora, the main hub of Lua faction and the major economic center that effectively links the civilized Western world and technology backwards and savage East. Upon arriving at Cosatus' abode, The player is admitted as a novice into the Empire, serving the faction Blades. The Blades is indicated to be an organization with the duty of spying for the Empire, where spies were the Emperor's hidden eyes and the ears of the provinces. Crusadus gives you your second task: visit his friend Hasfat Antibolus at the Balmora Fighters Guild and get schooled in the local lore and learn various cults gaining strength in Verdunfall. Unfortunately, Hasfat Antibolus won't simply share his knowledge for nothing and gives you a third task: visit a nearby Dwemer ruin and find a specific artifact. Upon the retrieval and delivery of the artifact, Antibolus gives the player's notes to be delivered to Crusadus and read by you. The note describes various cults in Vanderfell. The player is tasked from Crusadus to seek further information on the Nerevarine by searching for ancient texts and informants scattered through Vanderfell. Why this is so important to the player remains a mystery until Crusadus reveals that the Imperial Legion believes the player character could very well be the Nerevarine reborn. The benefits the Empire could reap from such an event would be immense. Having an ancient Dunmer man-god ally would gain the Imperial Legion an even stronger foothold in Morrowind, and the continued attempts of thwarting Dagoth Ur and his financial cults would win some support among the native Dunmer. Crusadus is recalled to the Imperial City. The player is now the top-ranking Blades agent in Vanderfell. The player continues on his or her journey to discover whether they truly are the Nerevarine, and is soon on the search for the ancient prophecies, the lost prophecies. The search leads the player to a monastery where they are informed they must go through a series of tests to determine if they truly are the Nerevarine. The first prophecy being that Nerevarine, incarnate of the Nerevar, is born from uncertain parents on a certain day. The second prophecy dictates that the Nerevarine must contact and overcome Corpus disease. The fourth, the player character must find Eredurel, Nerevar's ring, moon, and star. Upon finding the moon and star, the player has a vision, and Azura, the Dradic Queen, confirms that the player is indeed Nerevarine. The first of the Morrowind expansions, Tribunal, starts off right when the player goes to sleep after installing the add-on. An assassin's attack on the player in his or her sleep is revealed to be a member of the Dark Brotherhood, an assassin's guild that can be found in Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion. In order to find out more about this guild, the player is sent to Mournhold, Morrowind's capital. After arriving in Mournhold, the player's first task is to find out more about the Dark Brotherhood, and specifically to find the leader of the guild. In addition, the player is asked to complete a series of tests for the new king, Hestheth, and living god, Almalexia. Right after completing some of the side quests, the Plaza Brindisi de Rome is attacked by creatures known as Fabricants. These creatures emerge from the statue in the center of the plaza. After the attack, a hole is discovered at the location the creatures emerged, revealing a hidden entrance in the Dwemer ruins beneath Mournhold. Since the Fabricants are mechanical, the god Solthasi is suspected behind the attack. The player has to go through these ruins in order to investigate the origins of the Fabricants. After investigating the ruins and completing several side missions, the player is able to restore the lost sword True Flame. When the player acquires the sword, the player is sent inside the ruins to kill Sosethil. The gods are all vulnerable at this point because the game takes place after the events off Morrowind, and therefore it is assumed that the heart of Lorkhan has been destroyed, rendering the gods mortal once more. The player continues to explore the ruins in order to find Sosethil, but ultimately finds its body. As soon as the player tries to leave the room, Almalexia appears and says she's the one who killed Sosethil and started the attack on Mournhold to gain more control over the citizens. The player is then forced to kill Almalexia before being able to return to Mournhold. Upon the player's return to Mournhold, the Daedric Prince Azura appears and reveals that the heart of Lorkhan drove Alamaxia mad, and the mortals can never become gods without facing severe consequences. Later in the game, only 3 NPCs in the game are willing to believe that Alamaxia is really dead. All the other inhabitants will be unable to believe the player's story and have lower disposition towards the player as a result. By destroying the heart of Lorkhan and killing Alamaxia, the player continues to fulfill Evergreen prophecies. In the second Morrowind expansion of Blood Moon, you inquire on rumors with NPCs. The player hears rumors of a fortress on a remote island in the north that is in need of assistance. Further investigation reveals that Fort Frostmourne is suffering from a low morale due to being recently introduced dry fort policy and missing weapon shipments. To resolve these problems, the player is sent to a nearby cave to investigate the smuggling ring. Upon returning to the fort, the player finds it in a dire state from a werewolf attack, and the captain of the guard, Falx Carius, missing from his chambers. The player then points toward Skull Village to shed light on the matter. After performing several rituals to be initiated as a member of the village, the player learns about the Blood Moon prophecy, a hunt led by a Daedric prince, Hircin. Eventually, the player is captured by werewolves and taken to Hircin's Plane of Oblivion, where he must compete against 3 other champions to survive. There were a series of games